On behalf of the Asian Pacific American Legal Center, I am pleased to present the 2011 Legal Impact Award to Justice Goodwin Liu.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I'm delighted to be here, and I am proud to be in the distinguished company of the other honorees, my former law firm, O'Melveny & Myers, the South Asian Helpline and Referral Agency, and angryasianman.com, and its founder, Phil Yu. I am not an angry Asian man, but I sometimes play one when I sit on the bench. Well, this is the biggest birthday party I've ever had. I know some of you are wondering, how old is this guy? That's what happens when you tell someone it's your birthday. Some of you are on your phones trying to figure it out. Just remember, if you're looking at me, you got to add 5 or 10 years because I'm Asian. Seriously. I feel like I've aged 5 or 10 years in just the last 2 years, and I can't decide whether it's just from having kids or from the judicial confirmation process, but it's probably a little bit of both. My daughter, Violet, who's in those pictures, she's 4.5 now, was not quite 3 years old when I was first nominated to the Ninth Circuit by President Obama in February of 2010. I still remember about 3 days after I was nominated, she asked me, "Daddy, are you a judge yet?" Little did she know. And you know, I told that story at my confirmation hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and for some reason, all the senators thought it was really funny, especially the Republicans. Just don't know why. Well, the good news for Violet, and hopefully for you too, is that I am a judge now, and I'm very honored to be sitting on the High Court of the largest state in the country, and indeed, the largest judicial system in all the world. And for this honor, let me thank you, the lawyers, the leaders, and the citizens of the Asian American community. Thank you for standing by me throughout this long journey to the bench. Thank you for believing in me, no matter what other people said. And thank you for caring about the future of our country and our community, for which my experience is just one example among many in this room of what happens when our community comes together and makes its voice heard. You know, John Lim, your board chair, the board chair of the center, said to me out in the hallway there, "When I see you on the bench, I see part of us on the bench." And I just feel the exact same way. Over 40 years ago, my parents came to this country from Taiwan. They had no money, but they had education, a strong work ethic, and dreams of a better life. When I was a kid, my parents pushed me to study math and science, not law or politics, and perhaps this is a familiar story. Why, you might wonder, is this so typical of immigrant Asian parents? Well, in part, I think it's because my parents didn't speak English very well, And I didn't learn English until I went to kindergarten. But it was also their sense that there are very clear standards in math and science. You either prove a theorem or you don't. You either make a discovery or you don't. And if you prove a theorem or if you make a discovery, the success is there for everyone to see, and no one can take it away from you. In law and politics, the standards are more contested. Law and politics are argumentative, even confrontational. Decisions are made by vote. And even the decisions of our highest courts are still called opinions. That oversimplifies the process, but you get the point. So did I take my parents' advice? Of course not. The fact is, I was reasonably good at math and science. I was a biology major in college, and as the video said, I was accepted to medical school. But then I veered wildly off course, and you know the rest. I'm sure my parents, who are pretty unassuming suburban-type people, spent many nights wondering how they managed to raise President Obama's most controversial judicial nominee. But there's more to the story. You see, my parents came here from Taiwan in the late 1960s, and they were born there during the Japanese occupation. They were in grade school when the Nationalist Party took control of the island in 1949 and imposed martial law, and they grew up essentially under a dictatorship. And Taiwan was still under martial law when they came to America. During those years, thousands who dared to criticize the government were jailed or killed. Many of them simply disappeared. I'm sure my parents' experience made them distrustful of law and politics, but they left their families to come here because they knew that this country is committed to democracy and the rule of law, and their children would have freedoms they didn't have when they grew up. As a law professor, I spoke and wrote about many things that, in my view, need attention if we are to live up to our nation's promise of equal justice under law. I spoke and wrote about many things you care about, like education, civil rights, poverty, diversity, and equality of opportunity. To some people, my work was persuasive and illuminating. To others, it was provocative and controversial. But whatever wisdom or folly there is in the things I've written or said, and I suspect there is a lot of both, I am mindful of what a privilege it is to speak freely on the important issues of our day. And I am mindful of the sacrifices my parents made so I could have that freedom. If you look around the world today, at Syria, in Libya, in Egypt, Tunisia, in China, and everywhere beyond, there are people of different cultures, different faiths, who want the same thing. They want freedom of conscience. They want the right to dissent without fear of violence or retribution. They want equality of opportunity. They want the chance to live a decent life with the respect that every human being deserves. Many of you know this struggle from your own histories, and it is a struggle familiar to all Americans, for we are a nation conceived in liberty, but never at rest in pursuit of our ideals. So, I will keep doing my part to advance the cause of equal justice under law, knowing that the opportunity I have to do my part is because you are doing yours. Thank you so much for this wonderful honor. Thank you.